What's up, you guys? Welcome to a new video that I'm making. As some of you might know, I play World of Warcraft. I've been I've been playing since Wrath of the Lich King, that expansion, but I had my own account. Uh, I bought my own account in Warlord Draenor, and I decided why not make a couple videos where I make a tier list about basically about the things in the game. Uh, this one specifically will be about the specializations that are currently in the game as of to date, which would be uh, I actually don't know. It's the 18th of October. I had to check. I wasn't sure. I know it was October, but I wasn't too sure of the exact date. But this is my tier list for specialization. We have different tiers, which is close to perfect, which are usually my favorite specializations that I enjoy to play. We have good specs, which I enjoy playing, but and I would probably more consider like alt region most of the time. Then we have meh, which are like they're alright, but they can be fun, but it's like situational or depending on the mood I'm in. Then I'm saying not a fan, so some things that I don't enjoy, and then we have a few that will go into get in the bin. I already have two in there. Now, let me do a little bit of an explanation. I'm mostly a DPS main in World of Warcraft. I do enjoy playing tank and also healing, but I'm mostly a DPS player, which might change, obviously, my vision on the specializations and stuff like that. So, obviously, if you disagree with me on my tier list, again, this is my opinion, so it makes total sense that we would disagree. So we will start off with Blood Dead Knight because it's the first in line. Obviously, all the Dead Knight. Dead Knight, very love. I do love the class. It's great class, great team around it and stuff like that. But Blood DK probably is my least favorite out of the three specializations that it offers. Um, I remember in Legion, I very much enjoyed Blood DK. It was probably my second favorite one, but it was I think it was also mainly because the reason that I hadn't tried all the tanks yet, which back then I only played, played, quote unquote, played Protection and Blood DK, and I don't think I tried the other ones. I don't think I tried Brewmaster. I hadn't tried Protection Warrior, and I don't think I even tried Vengeance Demon Hunter at that time. But obviously, that's like long time ago. So I would say Blood DK is probably not a fan. I wouldn't say it's completely horrible, and I would love to see it get deleted into the abyss or it gets deleted from the game. I like it. I like the team, like I like the way it looks, but then again, I kind of have a better idea for that blood ability. I think they should make a vampire type of class, kind of similar to how they did with Evoker, where it's like a race and a class in one. And I think that would have been way cooler because they can do like they can literally make 3 specs with that. But anyway, that maybe that's for another video because obviously don't want this to be like hours of length. But we will move on to Frosted Dead Knight. Frosted Dead Knight it's such a weird one. I love it and I hate it at the same time. I have this character and she's Blood of Dead Knight, and she is one of my first characters that I made. Not my first, because I first had like on my paid account, right? So my own account, a I had my Night Elf Druid, which was called Poison Storm. So for the people that know me for a long time, like my best friend who potentially might watch this video, he will obviously remember this name. And I had a rogue called Ghosty. Now, at the time, it was Combat Rogue, and when they changed it to Outlaw Rogue, I hated it. Like, I hated that they changed it. Obviously, I was way younger, so I didn't very much understand back then. So I mainly played Druid back then, actually. And I did have that Blood Dead Knight, but I rarely played it because I was most of the time I was on my Druid playing a Waltz Draenor, and I think I got her up in like BFA or Battle for Azeroth. Um, but I always liked her a lot. I liked her name. Her name is Galatia, which obviously fits with the Frost Dead Knight role, and she always had this like she's been wearing the same transmog for a while now, and back then I really loved it. I still love it right now, but I definitely can see like this is definitely like an earlier me transmog, but it kind of gives like a nice touch to it as well. But Frosty K is this spec where I'm always like, ooh, I love Frost DK, but then when I'm playing it, it feels a bit too slow for me to enjoy it. Like it's somewhat fun, but I'm also like, I'd rather play something else. So I think I will put Frosty K, even though that hurts me because I love that character so much, I have to put it in meh because of that. Because when we're going to Unholy DK, I haven't played my Unholy in a while, but if we go with Unholy DK, now I can already tell you something about me. I don't like overtime effects most of the time. So every overtime class or spec that is in the game, I will instantly dislike more. And I thought that was the case for Unholy Dead Knight, and I never tried it because I had in Legion I had the Frosty DK and the Blood Dead Knight. I did have an Unholy Worgen, but I think I leveled it up to I think it was 102 back then or 103 maybe, and then I never touched it again. And then I obviously had a lot of my friends stopped playing in BFA, so I made my own challenge where I leveled up every specialization as a separate character, which means every specialization in the game right now I have a character from, and my goal was to get them all to max level. And obviously, one of those characters was supposed to be an Unholy Dead Knight. Well, supposed to be. And I made a undead Unholy Dead Knight because I thought it fitted well. I made a really cool transmog with it. Back then, when I made it, I was so hyped about it. I was so happy with it. Now I'm looking back at it and I'm like, not too sure about that. I still like it, but I probably say the Frost Dead Knight one that I had from before is probably better at this point. But when I tried it, I really, really enjoyed it, and I'd have fun with it. But I think it was mostly because of the fact that I was playing something new that I hadn't experienced yet. And it was fun. Well, it was. It's still fun to play, but I wouldn't say I want to play it every day. Which comes to my conclusion, which I'm debating if I want to put it in meh or if I want to put it in good. But I think I'd put it in good because I would say currently, from my last experience comparing the Unholy Dead Knight with the Frost Dead Knight, I think I enjoyed Unholy a slight bit more than Frost Dead Knight. So that's so far my ranking. Next up, obviously, if you know me very well, you will know where this spec will go. You will know that I will put Demon Hunter Havoc into Get in the Bit. No, obviously not. It's close to perfect. It's so enjoyable. it's probably the only well, I only have experienced it once, but from the time of me playing it, since that I made my since I had my own account, as I told you before, I made the druid in Walnuts of Draenor, and when Legion came out, I tried the Demon Hunter, and I instantly liked it. It instantly swapped my main to Havoc Demon Hunter, and I enjoyed it until like the 9 point. Wait, is it 9.3? No, it's not. No, it's 7.3, right? It's 7.3 or 7.4, whatever. It was the last patch with the Argus thing. That's when I really like started to not enjoy the game anymore. At least current content, and I kind of fell back on like collecting and stuff like that. But I love the fast pace of the Demon Hunter. Obviously, me always, having my demonic team. Maybe that's a little bit of a like a link there, because that definitely came. My demonic team that I wanted to build kind of came from from a TV show actually. That my best friend, well, talked about a lot, and then I ended up watching it, really enjoying it, and funnily enough, I played Havoc Demon Hunter. I did have a patch where I swapped to a different spec, and then after that, I swapped to another spec, and then I came back to the Demon Hunter, and now I play 3 characters. Well, last night I played uh, World of Warcraft, like max level content. I made 3 characters. I'll come back to the other 2 later, and Havoc Demon Hunter was one of them. Obviously, currently, I'm going to main 5 characters because there are quite a few classes and specializations that I like. But yeah, having Demon Hunter is, in my opinion, close to perfect. I love the Fel Barrage ability. I think it's so cool to see you basically lifting in the air and then shooting bolts out of your body, basically. And then obviously turning, like using Metamorphosis is super cool. And I wouldn't say I'm emo or anything, but it's just super fun to play. Now, next up is obviously the other specialization from Demon Hunter, which is Vengeance Demon Hunter. Vengeance Demon Hunter is currently, I would say, my second favorite tank to use. I have leveled all tanks up to max level except one, which I'll come to later when I obviously talk about it. And but again, I played enough of that tank to have a feel of like how I enjoy it. But to come back on the vengeance part, as I said, it is my second favorite tank. So if I would not have the option for that other tank, I would have to say this would be my main, if not for the other one. Which means Vengeance Demon Hunter will be in my good tier, as I really enjoy it. Next up, we come to the Druid class. Obviously, starting off with Balanced Druid. Balanced Druid is. It's a bit of a. It's similar to Frost in a way. Not in that it's slow particularly, but it's more like when I played it, or when I started playing it, I quite enjoyed it. I did have fun, but I think that was this time even harder than with Unholy, where it was just fun because I was learning something new. But now when I'm playing it again, I'm more like, so I think I will put Balance Droid in not a fan, but it will definitely be higher than Blood Decay because that's very much like it's more fun than Blood Decay, but I think it's like the higher tier of that tier. Does that make sense? Then we move on to Feral Druid. This is a nostalgic specialization, as I was a Feral Druid in Wallet's Journal, which is my first ever character that I made that on that account, which I'm still playing until this day. And that was a Feral Druid, obviously with the old. Well, I say with the old, but I used the talents that kind of made me similar to how you can now build like a Feral Resto Druid kind of build, which is what I still do to this day, or still do with this talent tree that we have right now. And it's fun sometimes, I'd say, but it definitely has fallen off from the enjoyment I had back then. I think I've definitely like grown a lot in like understanding the game and um, how everything or how most things work compared to back then where I was just basically smashing buttons and probably dying in Draenor. And yeah, it was just. I was also not really doing a lot of like actual content. I was more like I quested. I think I reached max level, and then I did like a bunch of collecting. I think that was mainly what I did then until Legion. So I have to put Feral in probably meh. The reason why it's in meh is because when I leveled a druid, or when I had to level a druid, I always put it in Feral to level further if I didn't enjoy the other class. So for example, my Balance Druid, I'm pretty sure I swapped it at some point to Feral just to have more fun to level it while leveling. I think the same goes with Guardian Druid, where I swapped it to Feral to level it further up to 60, and then I wanted to swap it back to learn it a little bit more. I have done a couple of Guardian Druids tank dungeons for Dragonflight, obviously in between 60 and 70, because this is the tank that I have not finished yet. This character is 65 if I'm correct, and it's not that bad. It's not that bad, but I'd probably put it together with Blood DK, where I'd say I'm not a fan. It's okay. I definitely hated it a bunch more before I played it, but it's okay. It's okay. I don't mind it too much, but it's definitely not my cup of tea. Then Rester Druid is very much in the same boat. As I said earlier in the video, I've said I don't like classes or specs with overtime things. This counts for overtime damage in dots or in HOTS in healing over time, which obviously Rester Druid is its main thing, right? Healing over time. And it always also had my frustration, which is very weird because a lot of people say Resto Druids, players that most good players play Resto Druid, right? It's always meta, it's always the case. And I have always had the experience of a shit Resto Druid healer. Every healer, when it's a Resto Druid healer, is garbage to me. I don't know why, it just always happens. My best friend has the same issue with a different spec, which I'll mention later. But he played Resto Druid, and when he healed, it was fine. It was like, this is good healing. It's very, very funny. So it's like a little bit of a very frustrating back then, but now it's more like a joke in our friend group. But yeah, I've played it. It's definitely somewhat fun. I can see the appeal, but it's definitely not my fan. I'd probably play it rather than the Guardian. And also, the little story here. My friend was leveling, and I joined him on my Resto Druid. But the Resto Druid was in a I think it was in Feral spec. So we queued up for a dungeon. Me, I think it was like late at night. Me not noticing that I queued up as a healer. So when we queued up into the dungeon, I completely panicked. It's like, oh my god, I'm the healer. What am I going to do? I'm not prepared. I'm not mentally prepared to do this. But obviously, it was very nice at the end. Like I did have to fix some talents because I leveled further in the other spec. I think it was Feral. So I had to pick a couple of talents in between the fights. Uh, but yeah, I did enjoy it a lot, and it definitely didn't went terrible. I think I had like one person die in the whole dungeon, and it was a BC dungeon. I don't know what the name was, but I know it was one of the Tempest dungeons. So like Botanica or was it Architrans or something? I don't know. I know there are like 3 dungeons there, and I know which one it. I know the dungeon is pink. That's what I know. But yeah, obviously at the end of the dungeon, I asked my friend how I did, and he said I did fine. So that was obviously very lovely to panic experience. But to continue on, because I still have quite a lot to do, I'm already 20 minutes in. We go to the new class in Evoker. This is a bit of an issue because I haven't played the Devastation in a little bit. I think it's kind of. I think I know where I want to place it because it's been a little bit, so I can't fully remember how I did. The only thing I remember is I quite liked it, like I had fun with it. But again, is that because it's new? Is that because it's fresh? Potentially. And I I do like a few of the abilities. I really enjoy the fire, the like the. Honestly, I really like the stage abilities, like their animations. I would mainly say, uh, but I think it's definitely not a main. I could see me playing it as an alt, but definitely not as a main. So I'm gonna put it in meh, but very like it's the top of meh, just because the reason that I haven't played it in a bit. Next up, Preservation Evoker. Now I'm pretty sure Preservation Evoker. I played that one more recently than Devastation, right? Oh yeah, this doesn't have the augmentation in it. I'll um, I'll come to that in a second. So Preservation, I remember I really liked it. I really thought it was very fun. I'll probably say it's my 4th favorite heal. There are a few healers that I enjoy more than this. Preservation is on par with the 3rd one. It's very close. I think it might even be a little bit more fun than the other one, but it's probably in the same tier together. So, and I'll put it in the exact same tier as the other Evoker in Devastation, but even higher because of the fact that I have 2 other healers, one which is a main and one which will be a main, and one is an alt. But I'm also not the biggest fan of healing. Like I feel like it's the most stressful from the 3 roles. So, like, they're just 2 other healing specs that I would just prefer above them. But it was very enjoyable when I played it. But then again, is it again because it's new? That's kind of my issue that I have with that. Beast Mastery. Again, this is something that a lot of the people that I go around with will probably know. I have always had a dislike towards Beast Mastery players or Beast Mastery the class in itself because of the fact that it was too easy to play. Funny because I'm saying that I played Havoc Demon Hunter, but it's it was always you could just literally put your hand on the desk because I could like not say the word that I usually say. So you could just smack your hand on the desk and you would be top DPS basically. And I remember that. Now I have played it myself. I would say it's okay. It's enjoyable. So I'm gonna put it in meh. I probably have more fun with the Beast Mastery than Feral. But it's definitely not as terrible as as I thought back then. Or that I made it out to be with just smashing your hand on the keyboard. Next up, we have the second main. It is Survival Hunter. Ever since I started leveling my Survival Hunter, I love this character. I love this spec. I love the fact that it's not meta, usually. It's always the underdog, and it's great. And it's so much fun, especially because I don't even use the meta build, as I play more around my pet. So I'm more like a survival beast mastery combination than survival marksman combination. Which is funny, as you will see with my next with the where I place marksmanship. But yeah, I really enjoy this specialization. I'm close to even saying I enjoy this currently more than Demon Hunter, but Demon Hunter is getting a rework very soon, and obviously I gotta know how that feels. But currently, in the current state, I would say Survival Hunter is more fun than Demon Hunter, than Havoc Demon Hunter to me. Next up, we have Marksmanship Hunter. Before I leveled my Survival, Marksmanship Hunter is my main Hunter spec. I adore this specialization, but because of Survival, this specialization is a good spec. I love the fact that you don't have to rely on your pets, although I think you should be a little bit more rewarded for not having a pet. In my opinion. Because that's kind of what it's about. I obviously love the arcane shot ability because it looks a lot like the Sylvana's shot that she does in the Battle for Azeroth trailer, which is really cool. So yeah, I really like marksmanship. I love rapid fire. Lovely ability. Aim shot is super strong. Long cast time, which is a bit annoying, but it's strong, so it's enjoyable to play. Next up, we have Arcane Mage. Arcane Mage is fun. It definitely is fun, but I think it's on a similar boat as. I think it's on a similar boat as Balance, where I have fun with it, but I've always catched myself going for the other spec. So I'm going to put Arcane Mage in not a fan, but on the top. Because I was close to putting it in meh as well. Because fun-wise, it's very similar to Beast Mastery and Feral Druid, for example. Next up, we have Fire Mage. This is another spec that is so fun to play. I leveled very recently. I think yesterday, yeah, it was yesterday. Yesterday, I leveled a fire mage up from 30 to 60. Or was it even today? Was it today? It might have been today, actually. I'm stupid. And I had so much fun. I fell into a groove and just kept going and then suddenly hit 60. I love the combination of, you know, proccing your crit and then getting that instant pyroblast or instant flame strike, depending on AoE or single target. Uh, it's just very nice. You obviously have blink as mobility, which is great. You get 2 blinks with shimmer, which is fantastic. And yeah, I think it's great. So enjoyable to play. I did do a freehold 16 also with a fire mage, with a different fire mage though. And that was a little bit more of a, it was fun, but I don't know, maybe it was also because we had a person undergeared with us. Uh, so, not sure. I don't know. We didn't time it because of that, and obviously my fire mage wasn't. It was somewhat geared. I think it was like 4. Yeah, it was 411, 411, 412, something like that. So it was decently geared, but maybe for current 16s it wasn't ready for it. Uh, but yeah, it was fun. So then we come to the first class, not class, specialization that I have to put in the empty category. Get in the bin. This spec, I don't understand. I tried to play it. It just doesn't click with me. I don't enjoy it. It feels so slow. It's so boring to me. It's yeah. I really don't know why. Because it's basically the opposite of fire, but I don't know. It doesn't appeal me. Um, it's hard to say much about it because I think after like 20 or I think 30 levels, I swapped it to fire and just couldn't be bothered with it anymore. And then I did play, I think 2 more levels on it to give it another go at higher level because I think I swapped it at 68. No, I think I swapped it from 67 to until 69, and then I said, "Screw this, I'm back to fire." Swapped it back to fire so I can do the last level, and then I swapped it to frost just so I can have it as a frost mage on the character screen. So, um, yeah, that's probably what I would say about that. Then we go to Mistweaver Monk. This is the healer that I enjoy the most. I never was a fan of healing, and when I started the challenge, I'd only played Discipline and Holy Priest at the time, and I probably would have said that I liked Holy Priest back then the most. And then I tried Holy Paladin, I tried Rest Shaman, I tried Rest Druid, of course, and then Mistweaver Monk. And goddamn, do I love Mistweaver Monk. If I had the interest in playing a healer, this would be the healer that I would play. But unfortunately, because I'm a main DPS, it's so hard to not go with DPS, especially with the amount of specs that I like a lot. It's very difficult to say I'm gonna main a healer because when I put it up against the other, I'm like, I'd rather play this because I don't want to. Like, if I put it up against Survive Hunter, it's not going to win. Survive Hunter is just more fun. Same with Demon Hunter. Against Fire Mage, it has a chance. I'd probably say, in if I compare it to the point where it was in the groove, I'd probably say Fire wins that. But if I compare it in the Mythic Plus, I'd probably say Mistweaver wins that. But then again, I've never done like Mythic Keys or rating on this yet. I've only experienced the leveling phase of it, right? And it's the same with a lot of these, right? The ones that I haven't mained yet, I haven't experienced the Mythic Plus scene with that spec. And the same counts for rating, of course, and PvP. But yeah, it's up there anyway. I think it's amazing to play and have fun with. Next up, we have Brewmaster Monk. This is meh. I would probably say I like it. It was fun playing it and leveling it up, but it's definitely not the most straightforward spec in my opinion to play. I didn't struggle with it or something, but it was just difficult with the stagger and things like that. It's just you hear saying that as people like always, oh, watch out if they watch your stagger, and the same about like healers. Oh, it's you have to be good enough to be able to heal his stagger, and I'm like, bruh, I don't want to deal with stagger. Just leave me alone. So that's kind of why I like it. It was fun, but I'm not gonna play it. This is definitely not gonna be the case. Now, the DPS spec. And this is funny for this class because I don't know what it is with Windwalker, but it's very similar to Arcane. But with Arcane, I still have somewhat fun. With Windwalker, I don't know. It's weird because I'm a Cobra Kai fan. I love that. I love Bruce Lee. I love Jackie Chan. Like, and the Karate Kid shows as well. But yeah, I don't like Windwalker Monk. I don't know. It's weird. It's very weird why I don't enjoy that spec because it does align with my real life interests. So I yeah, I have no idea why it doesn't why I don't find it enjoyable. But yeah, it's indeed not a fan in that tier. To move on to Holy Paladin, as I'm getting very, very late. It is already 40 minutes, which is crazy. Holy Paladin is probably not probably, is my least favorite healer. And I think I'm going to say it's high on the tier, get in the bin. It's just not my kind of healer. It really isn't. Just bored the hell out of me after a few levels. Very similar to Frost Mage, where like I played it until like 20 or 30, and then I said, nah, screw this. Same thing happened to Holy Paladin. So can't say more about it. So we'll move on to Protection Paladin, and this is my main tank. Protection Paladin is just so enjoyable to me. I don't know what it is. Throwing my shield at enemies is so cool, and seeing it like rebounds to other targets is super satisfying. And then the fact that it's just you can't die. You're a paladin. You just paladin and dying doesn't exist. It paladin. It's you have like if a paladin would take the what's it called, the dictionary, right? The word dying, it's not in there. It's not in the paladin dictionary. It's not there. So there we go. To get that clarified, It's just so enjoyable. To move to Retribution, the DPS spec of Paladin, I'd probably say fun. It is fun. It's very fun. It is close to being a main, but I'd probably rather have it as an alt. But it's honestly more like this, from what I'm seeing, because I the only downside about Vengeance is the fact that Paladin is there, right? If it wasn't, then Vengeance would be in here, but it's not. But that's why Retribution is obviously ahead of Vengeance. It's just because the Paladin is there. Next up, we have Discipline Priest. This is my second favorite healer. This is not even a contention. This is just my second favorite healer. I enjoyed it so much leveling. And if Mistweaver wasn't my cup of tea, Discipline would have been my main healer. Holy Priest is this third healer that I enjoy a lot, but it's kind of like this. It's very fun, or it's fun, right? But it's a little bit less fun than I have with Preservation. All right. To move on to Shadow Priest, because I'm trying to speed up, as you guys can notice. Shadow Priest, I played it, not my cup of tea. I gave it a go. I always never thought I would like it. Gave it a go. Didn't like it. So it is in not a fan. Which will be there. Now I'm gonna skip the rogues for a second. We're gonna move over to Elemental Shaman. Elemental Shaman was never my cup of tea. But I leveled up an Elemental Shaman because of my challenge that I made, and goddamn was it fun. It was very fun to play, but would I main it? I'm gonna say no. It's unfortunately getting dragged down because of another spec that I just adore, which is Enhancement Shaman. Enhancement Shaman is probably the first alt on my list, or one of the one of the few hundreds. But no, Enhancement Shaman is so much fun. There is a joke about it, about the fact that I played it wrong in BFA and I was doing quite a decent amount of damage back then. And I was pressing buttons like the buffs. You know how Enhancement Shamans has those two buffs that you put on both weapons, well, one buff on each weapon, and I was pressing them like it was abilities. That's how stupid I was when I played Enhancement Shaman back then. Because I didn't read what it said. And then at a point while leveling, I read it and noticed there was a buff for your weapons. And I was like, oh my god, I'm so dumb. So yeah, that's the funny part about Enhancement Shaman. And then just really like it. Just really fun to play. And then we come to the Resto Shaman, which is fun, but I probably would put it in a similar boat as Arcane Windwalker, on the same level. Next up, we have Affliction Warlock. And Affliction Warlock is, as probably most people in my circle will know, is my favorite class in the game. Like, I can't joke about this. This is stupid. I hate this class, honestly. It's so boring. It's so funny that all these three specs have the same issue with me. Well, Affliction Warlock has damage over time, but Every time I try to level one, I level like 20, 30 levels, and then I just swap it to the other spec because just there is just so much more enjoyable. To come to that, demonology. This is this was my third main in season 1 Dragonflight, together with Survival Hunter and Havoc Demon Hunter. Demonology was my third character, and I had a blast. The only thing that really bothers me, and it's so sad that it bothers me so much, is the lack of mobility. If I take away the mobility part, it's definitely in here. But with that, I have to drop it to good. Give it some mobility. I know you have Burning Rush, and I know there is Demonic Gateway, but it just doesn't feel nice to move around. Uh, like for example, with Fire Mage, you can easily like blink away from the thing, and you can deal damage again. And when the mechanic comes back, you just blink away again. Mechanic comes back, oh, you blink away again. Because by the time the mechanic reappears, your blink is back off cooldown anyway. Whereas with you can kind of do that with Demonic Gateway, right? But I think if you take the Demonic Gateway, you have to wait like minutes before you can reuse it again, which is my problem with that. Obviously, destruction, same issue. It's the mobility that causes this spec to unfortunately fall into the good tier, because it really is fun. I'd probably rather pick demonology, but destruction is so much fun. Chaos Bolt is such a fun ability, and you've channeled Demon Fire, which is also very satisfying to look at. Always when people ask me like how Fire Mage plays, like I remember a person who always played Destruction Warlock asked me how Fire Mage plays, and I always said that Fire Mage, their biggest thing on single target is basically just an instant cast Chaos Bolt. Because Pyroblast and Chaos Bolt are basically the same thing in my eyes. Then we move over. I will start with getting the Protection Warrior out of the way. Protection Warrior is a lot of fun, but I'd probably put it around here, as it is fun, but again, comparing it to the other two specializations in the other two tank specs that I have ranked higher in Protection and Vengeance. It's Vengeance and Protection Paladin just feel nicer to play. I don't really know how to. I guess it's just more. It's maybe a bit easier, a bit straightforward. Like I'm not the biggest fan of like. I think Rend is the ability. So that's what causes this debate, and obviously, of course, because I already have Paladin and Vengeance in the higher tiers, and also with the next specialization that I'm going to talk about, it is Fury Warrior. I've always liked this specialization, and it's a good spec. Very enjoyable, good self heals. This is the specialization that I mained when I swapped off my Demon Hunter for the first time in BFA launch. This was what I played until 7.1. No, 8.1. My bad. Until 8.1. That's what I played. Or 8.1.5. That could be it as well. But yeah, very, very enjoyable spec. Also, very fast pace, pretty good mobility. But in Dragonflight, it definitely hasn't felt as well as it did before. So that's why it's in good and not in the perfect tier. Next up, we have arms. Arms, very enjoyable. I'd probably put it above protection, but it feels a bit slower, which obviously is the point. That's what caused me to drop it to that tier and put it above protection. I definitely had more fun with Elemental Shaman when I played it, so that's why that's the case. Now on to Rogue. Rogue has this lovely thing where it's most of the time Rogue is always good. I will take the easy one first, which is Assassination. Is the easy one from the three. Not easy as in easy to play, but easy to rate. I will have to put this in the end of good. When I played it for the, I know this is a spec with overtime effect, but I remember when I played it last, I really, really enjoyed it. Like, I had such a blast in a way. But the problem it has is the competition of the two other specializations. As as you can see, these are 5 mains. Now, I'm probably not gonna main Mistweaver. So I'll put Mistweaver at the top of good, right? But if I would main a healer, Mistweaver would be the one. So it's kind of like in the middle of this because it's only there because I don't want to main a healer. But this is obviously 4 specs, right? Which is obviously Protection Paladin, Fire Mage, Demon Hunter, and Survival. And that's because the 2 specs, both of these are so fun to play. And this is obviously a single character because I'm not gonna play 2 different rogues. I can't be bothered to do that again. Or, well, I say again, I've not done that before, but I've always liked Outlaw Rogue since I mained it after 8.1.5. So when I came off my Fury Warrior, I mained the Rogue for a patch, and that was Outlaw. Had fun, but I got bored quite quickly from it, and then I swapped back to my Demon Hunter. But I've always had fun with it when playing it again. The amount of rogues that I've leveled, always swapped it to Outlaw. I always did it. Now I've played Sub, and I'd probably say Sub is a tad more fun than Outlaw. The amount of fun I have had with Black Powder and Secret Technique and throwing Shuriken Storm, it is very fun. And that's why they would be in that perfect category. So that was my tier list for the specializations. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. So like, and obviously if you're new, subscribe to this channel for obviously more single player content, and obviously just random videos like these. I nothing more to say about it than see you in the next video. Peace out.